Let's discuss these developments with Michael Oren. He's a former Israeli ambassador to the United States. Ambassador, thank you so much for being with us. I want to start with some new reporting that we got just minutes ago from an Israeli source indicating that Israel asked the United States to see the text of the Memorandum of Understanding with Iran and was rejected. I should note a U.S. official called that report not accurate. What reason can you think of for the U.S. to not show this memorandum to its strongest ally in the region?
Well, good to be with you. A very difficult moment indeed. For me, it's deja vu because it reminds me of 2015 when President Obama negotiated the JCPOA, the nuclear deal with Iran. Israel was also iced out of that negotiation. The United States did not share the details of those negotiations with Israel at the time, and here it appears to be happening again. The reason, I can't speak for the administration, but I could understand perhaps that Israel would oppose many aspects of this deal. We don't know the final draft yet, but there are Israeli sources who claim to have had some kind of access to it and say that it doesn't address Israel's basic needs. Let's keep in mind, and I don't think this is sufficiently reported throughout the American media, the northern part of Israel, the Galilee, is uninhabitable. It is being shelled by Hezbollah daily. Thousands of people have been displaced. So it's not as if Israel wakes up in the morning and decides to attack Lebanon. They're doing this for self-defense. And if the protocol, if the draft of this agreement between the United States and Iran does not address the fundamental issue of Iranian support for what they call proxies, which are terrorist groups, Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, that's extreme. It's a great problem for the state of Israel. If it doesn't address Iran's ballistic missile program, which has devastated Israeli neighborhoods, that is a major problem. And if it doesn't sufficiently address the nuclear problem, that's going to be a big problem with the state of Israel, too.
I want to ask you about the situation with Lebanon because President Trump was asked whether he's frustrated with Prime Minister Netanyahu regarding actions the IDF has taken in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah. Let's listen to that response.
Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody. Without me, there would be no Israel because no other president was willing to do what I did. I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon.
Trump is framing it as Israel making it harder for the U.S. to secure an agreement with Iran. Is he right that Netanyahu's posture has become an obstacle?
Well, I hate to disagree with the president, but any prime minister would do probably what Prime Minister Netanyahu is doing and more. The criticism of Netanyahu in this country is that he's not doing enough to defend the North. And it's actually impairing his chances of being reelected in our elections coming up this fall. And again, any prime minister of Israel has as his or her first duty the defense of the land and people of this country, which is precisely what the IDF is doing tonight as we're speaking. And really, there's no wiggle room here. We understand that the Iranians have succeeded in making the Lebanon issue one of the crucial issues in the peace in negotiations with the United States. But that can't bind the state of Israel. And Israel will, under this government or any government, will say that this agreement is between the United States and Iran, not between Israel. Israel's not party to it. So, we're not even part of the negotiations, and we won't be obligated by it.
So, Ambassador, you disagree with Vice President J.D. Vance when he expresses confidence that the Israelis will be bought in on this agreement further down the road. There's nothing that you can envision based on what we know of this agreement that might persuade the Israelis to come on board later on?
Well, I see one positive aspect of it, and that in contrast to the JCPOA of 2015, where the Iranians were paid up front in the hope that, as President Obama said, they would become a responsible regional power, it appears that the payments to Iran are being conditioned on Iran compliance with the terms of the agreement. That would be positive. But based on what we know right now, there's a tremendous amount of concern and trepidation in this country tonight.
Ambassador Michael Oren, we have to leave the conversation there. We very much appreciate your time and sharing your perspective.
Thank you.